All right, in this video, I'll show you the meaning of annual percentage yield, APY, and show an example of how it's calculated. All right, so a bank offers 5% APR compounded daily. What APY is that equivalent to? An APR is the interest rate that they say is annual. Okay, but if it's compounded annually, then it's only 5%. But if it's compounded daily, then it's worth more than 5%. Okay, and what the APY says is that, well, if it's worth more than 5%, then exactly how much is it worth? All right, so let's take a look at this decimals that I've set up. Some of the details on the left here, you don't really need to know, but let me just tell you that the R with the subscript C stands for the rate of interest for the compound interest account. R sub S is rate of interest for the simple interest. So R sub C is the APR. Letter A stands for compound interest. You can see the formula is very complicated. And letter B stands for the simple interest. All right, so now let's take a look at how the compound interest moves. So if I start out with $100 here, then after 10 years compounded daily, it grows, right? It grows to that top right there. So it goes up to that point, okay? Now you can sort of see that sort of curve. The line is not exactly straight, okay? And that's the nature of compound interest because it's an exponential growth and it's not a straight line growth, right? Now what happens if I take a look at the linear or simple interest account, then you can see that it grows, it's pretty straight, yeah? It grows in a straight line. And it's more obvious if I show both to you. The blue line is the simple interest and the purple line is the compound interest. And you can see that the blue line is straight, okay? But the compound interest line is curving up and it's growing faster, okay? And we're talking about that's a 10-year difference. All right. So that's the idea. The idea is that compound interest grows faster. At the same 5%, the simple interest doesn't grow as fast. So the APY is the question that says, what kind of simple interest would get me the same thing in 1 year? Okay, the graph that you're seeing here is 10 years, but the question is 1 year, right? So I'm gonna make some changes to make it 1 year and we'll see this graph again. All right, reset. So I've made it 1 year, so it doesn't grow as fast and doesn't go along. It doesn't go as high. And you can't really see the differences because, you know, in 1 year, it hasn't made much of a difference yet. So let me change the settings so we can see it easier. Let me change the settings so that all right, let's try this. Yep, you can see a tiny little difference there. Let me change the Yep, there we go. You can sort of see a tiny little difference in the at the end of the year, and you can see that the compound interest is worth a tiny little bit more than the simple interest. Okay, so it's kind of obvious that it's not 5%. The APY is not going to be 5%. It has to be something higher. So staying with the graph, I'm going to try to guess or use the graph to estimate how much is the APY. So I'm going to zoom in on the tail end of this at the end of the year. Okay. So I can see that on the last day, the compound interest is higher than the simple interest, okay? And that's because the simple interest is only 0.05. If I had the simple interest at 0.06, it'll be a lot higher than the compound interest, okay? So the APY is more than 0.05, more than 5%, but it's 6% is too much APY. So I'm gonna try something else. How about 0.55, like 5.5%, 0.055, still too high. I want the blue line. I'm changing the blue line to make it the same as the purple line. So down to 5.4, 5.3, 5.2, 5.1. Yeah, 5.1 seems to do it, except that it's a little bit low. So how about 1.1? Nope. 1.2. Almost 1.3. Yeah, 1.3 seems to be the answer. So 0.0513 seems to be the APY. Okay, 5.13%. Now, if I want to be picky about it, I'm going to zoom in some more. And it looks like 1.2 is too low, 1.3 is too high. So how about 1.25? Okay, a little bit too low. 1.26, 1.27. Okay, 1.27 seems to be it. A little bit too high. So I'm going to zoom in some more. I can play this game for a while, I guess. 2.7 is too high, 2.6 is too low, so 2.65 maybe? Nope, 2.66, 2.67, 2.68. Yep, 2.68 seems to be the number. Nope, too high. 7 too low, 8 too high, so 7.5 maybe? Yeah. All right, so yeah, I'm not gonna play this game for too long, so I think the APY is going to be around 0.0512675, etc. Okay, and that is the APY that would allow the blue simple interest to arrive at the same balance as the purple compound interest after 1 year. Okay. So the purple interest is growing fast, okay, at 5%. So the blue simple interest has to be more than 5% in order to catch up by the end of the year, right? So that's the idea, that whatever simple interest gets you to catch up by the end of the year, that's called the APY, right? So that's the conceptual answer. And now let's calculate this out. All right, so we're back at this problem. Okay, so how do we find APY? How did we find APY with the graphs? We found APY with the graph by first figuring out where the endpoint of the purple line is, right? So first I'm gonna find the balance of compound interest at the end of 1 year. Okay. So that's the part where I find the end of that purple line. That's why I use purple pen there. And now using blue pen, second step is to find what simple interest gets the same balance. So that would be my step 2. Right, so step 1. Find the balance of compound interest. So compound formula is A equals to the principal times 1 plus the APR divided by the number of compounding per year, the whole thing raised to the power of that number n times the number of years. So because we're looking for the end of 1 year, that tells me that my y is equal to 1. We're given that APR is equal to 0.05, and because it says compounded daily, then that tells me that n is equal to 365. Okay? So I plug all of that in. I have p times 1 plus 0.05 divided by 365 to the power of 365 times 1. And I'm kind of stumped right now because I don't know what p is. Let me let you in on a trick of the trade. And this trick only works in a math class. It doesn't quite work in real life. In a math class, you're supposed to be given all the information you need to do your problem. So if you're missing a piece of information, that means you have the right to just make up one. First of all, it's just fair. When the teacher forgot something, then teacher can't complain if you start making up stuff. But the second thing is, maybe the teacher does know what they're doing, and maybe the answer does not depend on the principal. Maybe whatever the principal is, the answer is the same. Well, it still means that you get to pick the principal, right? Because if all p's don't matter, you can pick the p that you want. So right here, p is not stated. So we choose. And we choose a value of p that's easy for us, okay? We're not gonna choose a weird p equals to $96.3. That's will be bad. We pick $100 because that's very easy in terms of computing percent, okay? So we're gonna put 100 in for the place of p, and I compute this out with a calculator. 100 times parentheses 1 plus 0.05 divided by 365 close paren, and I raise to the power, and all of 365 times 1 I put in parentheses. And I get 105.12 something. So I get 105.1267496, which I round to 105.13. And that is the balance at the end of the year in the compound interest account. So the question now is, what kind of simple interest would get me the same answer? So part 2 is gets from 100 to $105.13 in 1 year. And at this stage, you could plug it in the simple interest formula, right? But you realize, hey, you really don't have to. This is what percent actually means, right? To go from 100 to 105.13, it takes 5.13%. Yeah, you saw that? So that's why the choice of 100 was really awesome, because it solves us this problem very quickly. So we don't need the simple interest formula. If it were a weird number, not $100, we would, okay? P times APR times T and all that. But we don't need to, okay? Because $100 goes to $105.13. The interest is 5.13%, okay? And that is the APY, okay? The APY is the simple interest that gets you to the same number as the compound interest. The compound interest gets you to $105.13. So, the simple interest is therefore 5.13%. That's the APY. Okay, so that's how you do an APY problem. All right. So hope that helps, and thanks for watching.